G'day guys and welcome back. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and wish you all the best for the New Year's. Long time viewers of this channel would have heard that I picked up a radial arm drill, a Serbian radial arm drill, probably 5 months ago from a chap in Victoria. His name's Matt. From Mankave Engineering, not to be confused with Mankave Metals. He contacted me through Aaron from Aaron Engineering and wanted to know whether I was interested in this radial arm drill. So I took him up on the offer. It's an old machine, but it's got a lot of potential. It's got gearbox trouble, bearing troubles. It's actually missing a few bearings out of the gearbox. It's been tampered with quite a bit. So I've ordered new bearings. They should be in here today. I've got the gearbox stripped down on the bench just over there. While the young fellow was home from work over the holidays, got him to give me a hand just to pull the top off, the top plate off the top. There's 3 bearings in there that assist when you shift the arm, rotate the arm around. So I didn't get none of that on camera, but all the bearings will be here for that. There's 3 bearings on the top of that. So I had to machine up new axles for the bearings or new shafts. And I'll show the axles. I'll show them shafts and putting them back together and get it back on the top, and hopefully I'll be able to rotate the arm. Now it's a 3-phase machine. It's got 2 single-phase motors, 2 3-phase motors on it, single horsepower, I believe both are, which I'm going to attempt to run them off a VFD at this stage. But the main thing is to get gearbox all back up and together, get it all back in one piece basically. Give it a clean up, and then I'll work out where I'm going to go from there with it. I'll show you in a second, but the table does have a shitload of pecker holes in it. It's like, yeah, she's got a bit of a life, but we can work with it. I might be able to set it up in the Cincinnati and deck the top off. I don't know yet, just to put a nice smooth top back on it. We'll just see how we go there. But I'll take his over and show us. Well, it's got no gearbox on it. It's like I say, it's sitting on the bench here. I sort of had to make a bit of good of the time I had when Trent was home, always on holidays, just to give me a hand, because he's a lot stronger than I am, I can tell you. You're a powerful little bastard. So I'll take his over and have a look. It's an Australian-made machine, Servian. There is another machine still out on the market now, a Borger, I think you pronounce it, a Borger. They run a very similar gearbox. They're a dry gearbox, they don't hold oil. They just run on grease inside there from what I can work out, but it's pretty messy. It's had water in the gearbox. Yeah, I'll show you anyway. I'll spin you around and show you the gearbox, and you can see for yourself what we're up against. So here we've got the gearbox. This pile of bearings down here, that's what come out of the top plate. As you can see, they were just smashed to pieces. As you can see, that some of these gears are pretty well pitted. So I've got new bearings for all them coming. Yeah, she's had a bit of a life, the poor thing. But you can see here the amount of goop that was in it. So all this has got to be cleaned up good and well. This shaft here does have a bit of pitting around that bearing. I'm not concerned about it. I just want to get it up, get it running. If it does give grief, I can always make a new shaft later. I'm not going to go to extremes and make new shafts and everything just yet. Get it all cleaned up, get it running, and then I know where I am. These selector arms, every one of them's bent. So I've got to make up new selector arms as well. But overall, all the gears look fantastic. I'd say this has been a replacement gear. I'd say that one's been replaced as well. But there was a bearing missing there. There's a cup, or one of these caps with a hole in it, missing on that side. There was another bearing, which I already had one here, missing up the back here. And the drive coupling of this shaft here, the drive coupling's missed, the rubber's just destroyed, so I think that's been a homemade coupling, so I have to source another coupling from somewhere. But all in all, for a hobby machine, I think it will be a good machine. I think it'll be all right. So as you can see, I can tell you now, it is friggin' heavy. No way you can pick that up, but I'll just take the bastard out. You can see how bent they are. So I've got to make up all new selector arms. I don't know the story behind this machine, where Matt got it from. He probably did tell me and I can't remember. It's been a few months. See, that one's even missing the drive dog out of it. So we'll make up all new arms for that, which is not a real big job. Just little things like on the top here, these two outside bolts are M6x1. Down here are 1/4-20s. You know, it's someone's been in there before and had it pulled apart and obviously stripped gear bolts and everything and just patched her up. But all in all, there's no new gears to make. This one here has got a couple of bruise marks on it. I'm not concerned about it. We'll just have to see how she goes, see how noisy it is, and if it's bad noisy with the gearing, well, I'll have to make new gears, which is all right. We can handle it. Anyway, I'll take you over and show you the rest of the machine. Okay, so there it is. Excuse the mess in the workshop. She's pretty wild in here at the moment. As I was saying about the table, yeah, she's got some holes in it. But I don't know whether I can get them bronze brazed or what and deck the top off. I don't know yet. Or whether I just leave it as it is. You know, this one here goes all the way through. As you can see. These ones here must go nearly all the way through. They've got some elastic in them. So here we have, it's got an auto feed on the quill. I have gone ahead and made a new lock bolt for the main arm, but it does travels along the arm fine. There's no dramas in that. The quill will need a reamer up it and cleaned out. It's got a few good scores in it, but we'll get it running first and I'll worry about that sort of stuff. But it's going to be a bit of a, like that electric motor down there, that goes on the top of that gearbox I showed you over there on the bench. So that adapter plate goes on. That adapter plate goes on here, then the gearbox, then the electric motor. So she's definitely, it's a big machine. You see it's Servian, made in Australian machine. Supplied by John Welsh. There you go. Supplied by Servian. Yeah. So all in all, it's got a lot of potential. The main lead screw, it looks in good order. We can use it. It's no dramas with that. That's all fine. Obviously it has had a bit of a trauma somewhere along the line and the top's all been re-welded on to that lead screw. But this electric motor here, it's a 1 horsepower. I think it's a 1 horsepower. 3/4 horse. That runs just the lead screw. to run this arm up and down. That one down on the base there, that's a 1 horse which drives the spindle. There's not much else I can really tell you about it. It's just a solid old bit of gear. For the hobbyist in this workshop, I think it'll be plenty good enough just to get her up and running. It'll be perfect just for drilling holes. Okay, so this is the top, well, the piece that goes on the top of the, right up top of the mast. So we've got an inner piece which looks to be workshop built, replaced at some time. So it goes in there. Then it had these 3 axles, which you can see I've had to drill and tap 2 of them to get them out. I use a slide hammer on them. So I've made up 3 new stainless ones. They go in there with a bearing on them. Like so. And then there, once they're set, then they're locked down with a set screw here. That then goes on top of the mast. The lead screw comes up through here, and this allows this to spin on top of the mast easy. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about is the surface finish on this here. Whether it's going to grab on them, I don't know whether we can see where the rollers have been in there and just jammed up. Don't know whether to swing this in the lathe and give it a very, very light skim. You know, I don't know. Whether I just run a file over them and try and smooth the bumps out, I'm not too sure yet. Yeah, I'm still a bit undecided. What I'm worrying about, if I take a skim off that, it'll upset the height of the bearings, which is what I'm a little concerned about. But in effect, it shouldn't really matter the way it mounts, because that actually bolts to the top of the, that bolts to the top of the mast. Do a bit of thinking about this. I may be able to skim that. Bit of a funny story. When I went to pick this machine up, I was talking to Matt on the phone. I said, "What does it weigh roughly?" He said, "Oh, don't know. Probably around 700 kilo, 800 kilo. I said, "Oh, no worries. I'll stick my engine crane in. It's good for 1400 kilo. I'll stick it in and we'll lift her on." Well, on the way down, I had to go past my father's place, so I picked him up too. Took him for a drive. And we get down there and the old man goes, "Holy freaking Christ, son," he said, "I think it's a bit more than 700 kilo. I said, "Well, it certainly looks that way too." So we get talking to Matt, and I'm eyeing this thing up and I'm going, "Man, oh man, that's heavy." So, and it was up against a fence, and we couldn't get the engine cranes in near it good enough to lift it away from the fence, which was a bloody good thing really. Anyway, 2 doors up is a company up there, Lantini Haulage. And bugging me dead, I know the owner. And last time I'd seen Kim, we were on the piss. It was well over 20 years ago. Anyway, there was that, yeah, she was a big night, and I ended up riding my motorbike around my yard at 3 o'clock in the morning, so my neighbours told me. Anyway, I'd crashed out by then. Now, whilst down to Kim's yard, and I walked in the gate, and he looked up and he goes, "Well," yeah, a few choice words, he said, "What the hell are you doing here?" Yeah, we had a bit of a yarn, and I said, "I'm just up the road," and he goes, "Oh, before I even had what I was going to say out, he just says, 'Forklifts there, go and use it, bring it back when you're finished.'" So thankfully we did, and stuck it on my trailer, and man oh man, the trailer knew it. We couldn't work out why it was so heavy. So the other day when Trent and I pulled the top of the mast off, it's 7-inch diameter mast, and what's it, nearly 6 foot high, and it's 1.5 inch thick, solid cast. Man oh man, she's heavy. When I got it home here, I thought I'll do the right thing, I'll take the table off. I took the motor off, the electric motor, took the gearbox off it, lightened it up as much as I could, and I thought I'll just unbolt the mast, lift the mast off on its own with the 2 bare arms on it, and then lift the base off and put it back together in the shed. It didn't work. I got it all apart, I got the mast off, unbolted, and the engine crane it just would not lift that mast. I had to sucked in as far as I could, the mast on the end of the mast and the engine crane, the boom, and it just would not lift it. So it's sitting there balancing in the trailer. So the pucker factor's gone up dramatically. So I've ended up bringing Anderson's Cranes, a local mob in town here, and I said, if you've got 5 minutes, can you just drop round? I'm in a bit of a pickle. They come around, they started bursting out laughing, going, you freaking idiot, what are you even trying to do this for? Why don't you just ring us? Well, trying to keep the costs down. So anyway, they went back and got a telehandler and unloaded it, and even they were amazed how heavy that was. They got scales, I believe they got scales in their telehandler, and I forgot to ask what it weighed. Even Ando, he said, mate, anything like this, just ring us before you even try. It's only 5 minutes around the corner, we'll just come around and we'll pick it off for you and jam it in your shed and job's right. So they really looked after me, and they went out of their way to help me out big time, so big thanks to Andos, like Anderson's Cranes, they've done a great job. Yes, there's a funny backstory. I haven't seen this fella for 20 years and rock up and knock his load of forklift off and do what I had to do and dropped it back, and yeah, probably won't see him for another 20 years. Anyway, it was good to catch up with. Yeah, it's amazing. You go to a different state and you still know people. It was good to catch up with him. He hasn't changed much. Still a funny bastard. Anyway, I'll wait for these bearings to turn up, but in the meantime, I'm not going to show up, and I'm going to wash all this gear, this gear set up, and the gearbox housing up. I'll wash it all up, get it all cleaned up, and then we'll take it from there. She's on and still spins. It's pretty fortunate. I picked this this press up here a couple of weeks ago, and it's a homemade one, but I know the fella who made it done an exceptional job. It's strong. It's got a 15-ton jack in there at the moment, but think about modifying and putting a porta power in it so I can move from side to side, but that'll be a later project. Anyway, we're going to put these back in this housing. So, as you can see, that spins around. This one here is locked in with a set screw already. Clash. There we go. So as you can see, these front two favour this mount for this lead screw. So these are the sort of the carriers, they carry most of the weight. Anyway, I'll go and get this back up on the top. Don't think I'll film that, you know, and see me up a ladder, I can tell you. And I think we'll be pretty right to go. As you can see, that's the side of it. So it's 1.5" side, like wall. It's a 6-inch scale. So about 7 inches in diameter. So it's a big bit of gear. That's where all the weight is. No wonder we couldn't lift the bastard. Got a few marks on the top, but we can't do anything about that. But anyway, I'm going to put a smear of grease around here just to help it. Can't do any harm. It's not going to collect any shit up there. Okay, so got the 2 lock nuts back on there, on that lead screw. There's a bolt and a centre, 2 bolts on each side. They're done up, tensioned up. They're the new axles. Probably a bit long, but anyway, they look alright. So there's only one left to do now. One thing left is to see if it's going to spin. There we go. Spins easy. Spins very easily. That's bloody good. Alright. That's first job out of the way. First job done.